back to Musketeershockey.com for the Coach's Corner as the Musketeers are on the eve of opening the 2011-12 regular season against Tri-City tomorrow night in Kearney, Nebraska. And joining me now is Musketeers head coach and GM Brett Larson. And Coach, let's get right to it. 23-man roster finalized yesterday. Some difficult decisions. Billy Ahlgren, Ben Greiner, Chase Golightly, the final three cuts. And I'm sure Golightly had to be very difficult to cut. He's a kid undrafted and makes the protected list and has a great preseason. But just the other side, who are the kids kind of the final three Fall Classic games who really maybe on bubble territory and really had a couple really good games to separate themselves and end up making the final roster?
Well, obviously you look at a few of the guys, like most of them were your first, second, third line guys, you kind of knew who they were, obviously, like we talked about. And the other factor is, you look at picking a team, we've got three young defensemen right now. You got Vorobayev, you got Watson, you've got Piazza. All 94s are younger, which you got to have for league rules. So those guys, I felt like I just wanted to make sure we were comfortable with. That was the big thing. And obviously put Chase in a tough situation. An older kid doesn't fill any of those age requirements. Those kids stepped up and played well. So it made me comfortable going with the young blue line that we could work with early.
And yeah, you make a couple transactions before the roster is finalized. Let's talk about a couple of them. Jake Hildebrand is dealt to Cedar Rapids, and I think some fans kind of a misconception of this trade. It's not like Jake Hildebrand went into your doors, slammed your office, and demanded a trade. The kid he's a #1 goaltender. Matt Scoff came back. There's no animosity here, and at the same time, he's an asset around the league from your perspective. So I think it's a trade that's going to be beneficial to both sides here.
I hope so, and just so people know, Jake and I had been talking about it all summer, right from when I first met him at training camp. He had the desire to be a starting goalie in this league, and he deserved it. He's worked for it, and he knew with Matt coming back, it probably wasn't going to happen here. So it's something we worked on all summer. It was unfortunate it took this long to get it done, but I did know that he was a big asset in the league, and I knew that if I waited it out, that I should be able to get some draft picks back, which we had lost in the past, and felt real comfortable with getting 2 first-round draft picks.
And Nikita Sorokin also comes over. You don't have to trade any roster players, and he's a big left winger, played on the Eastern Conference finalist Gamblers last year, and kind of talk about how he fits into your forward core and if we should expect to see him tomorrow night in Kearney.
You should expect to see him. He's a big, tough, physical kid that drives the net hard and competes hard. He's exactly what I was looking for. Eric Rude, who we spoke to quite at length about him, who coached him last year in Green Bay, was just devastated when they lost him in the season, broke his wrist in a fight. And, he thought it was a key component in their team last year. So we're really excited to get him and hope he'll be a big part of the team.
And some of the offense that he's going to try and help replace is Tim O'Brien. He's going to be out at least probably a month here after off-season groin surgery, but he has started skating. So is that timetable still accurate, that Carolina missed October but kind of return early November timetable?
Yeah, we're hoping that it's going to be around that time frame. Obviously, it's one of those things where as much as you want him back in the lineup, you have to make sure he's 100% ready to go, because the last thing we'd want is have him come back too early and then be out for the season. So as much as we want to win in October and November, we want to make sure we've got him going down the stretch.
Let's get into this matchup a little bit against Tri-City. And you think back to last year, only 6 Musketeers had USHL experience on opening night a year ago. This year you're going to have 12. So I think automatically you have to like at least that this team seems a lot more battle-tested relative to last year. You're going to have a lot of kids with USHL experience that at least kind of know what to expect tomorrow night in Kearney.
I think so. I think we've got some good character kids, there's no doubt. I think we've got good depth on this team, as we've talked about before. We got guys that have good character and hard workers and have been in this situation, so that should help us early get through some of the growing pains we're going to have to probably get through with some of our younger guys.
And you kind of alluded to this in the first question, but again, Cliff Watson, Sam Piazza, Kirill Vorobayev, it's a pretty exciting defensive core you have on the blue line, even though it's a bit young. So it's going to be fun to watch those guys mature and grow as the year goes on.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be tough at sometimes too, because they are young kids, and defense is probably the toughest position to come into this league and play. You've got a lot of good forwards in this league. Those kids are going to make some mistakes, but it's our job to help them learn from it and help them develop. And I'm really excited about the D-core. I just think that might take a little bit of time.
Tomorrow's opponent, tonight's opponent, right after the Tri-City Storm. You go 7-1 against the Musketeers, did anyway, 7-1 last year. And as we talked about, it's a team, Drew Shinnick has those guys ready to go all the time. Don't have the high-end skill maybe of some other teams, but they bring their hard hats, and it's you got to match their work ethic, especially in their facility.
Absolutely. We're going to have to come out hard. It's going to start right away with our leaders. They've been in this situation before, but you look at a guy like Matt Scoff, who will lead this team. He's a guy that I believe will step up for our team, and you got Jordan Schmaltz on the blue line, and you've got the older kids like Gaudreau and Nelson that can get in there and really set that tone early. So I think the guys know we're in for a fight, and that's a good thing. Opening the season on the road, I think it's a good way to do it. You get in there and you give it your best shot, and hopefully get off the season with a W.
And you mentioned Matt Scoff, and What you have to like about Scoffer, and even maybe making the Hildy trade even more palatable, is that Scoff plays 93 games in the last 2 years, most minutes in the USHL, and he's a kid that's shown he's durable, and that's what you have to like. You could probably expect him to start 45, 50 games for you this year, and you like that he's stayed healthy over his USHL career. So that has to at least give you some confidence in Scoffer going forward.
Absolutely, and knock on wood, he stays healthy, and all those things were considered before we traded Hildy. Obviously, we've got a goalie that we feel is number one goalie in the league, who's been durable, a backup that came in and looked good in the preseason, that we think can give us a few games. But yeah, the big part of it was just making Scoffers ready to lead this team. He's a great character kid. His work ethic is unparalleled as far as goalies that I've seen, and I really feel comfortable with him leading this team.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you.
That's Musketeers head coach and GM Brett Larson. Musketeers open the season against the Tri-City Storm tomorrow night, 7:05 coverage on 620 KMNS.